How's it going, everybody? Texas Man here. Hope that you guys are all having a great day. If you guys would, please give this video a thumbs up if you guys do really enjoy it. Subscribe, of course, if you guys have not already. Also, do me the biggest favor of all, make sure you guys hit the bell notification button so you guys don't miss out on future videos or streams here on the channel. And as always, if you guys have any movies, TV shows, or games you guys would like me to cover here on the channel, please let me know in the comments down below. So, we're going to be kicking off and continuing the Hunger Games reviews. I've already talked about the recent film that came out, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I believe that came out in 2023. I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember the movie. But I'm planning on reviewing The Hunger Games. I'm going to be doing a review of Catching Fire, Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2, so look forward to those. Those will be coming out very soon. And obviously, you guys can get this on DVD, Blu-ray, digital, and depending on your region availability, you can also get it on 4K. So, The Hunger Games came out in 2012. It is rated PG-13. It's about 2 hours and 25 minutes long, and it is my second favorite YA dystopian-like movie. Obviously, I like The Maze Runner the most. It's 3 solid films. It tells a compelling story from point A to point B, and I really enjoy it for that. And obviously the Divergent films unfortunately never got an ending, so I hate those the most. The film has a fantastic roster of actors, including, of course, Jennifer Lawrence, Josh Hutcherson, Liam Hemsworth, Donald Sutherland, and Woody Harrelson, and Toby Jones. If you guys are wondering who Donald Sutherland is, he is actually the father to Kiefer Sutherland, who is famous for 24, and of course recently Rabbit Hole and Designated Survivor, which I think is kind of just cool. 100% epic performances from everybody that is in the movie. While the main character is a woman played by Jennifer Lawrence, she doesn't fall into the category of a Mary Sue. It's not a film about female empowerment. Katniss Everdeen struggles in this movie. She goes through an arc, and obviously she goes through an arc throughout all 4 of the films and through the books. And I'm happy that, me as a man, I can relate to a female character and be like, hey, I can understand your struggles. Not all of them, obviously, but for the most part, it's just being another human being. I can empathize with what she's struggling with. Grief, loss of friends, loss of family, loss of life, the struggles of being put onto this pedestal of, being this one important political figure and the savior of the rebellion and, being a symbol of hope and liberty and the future for Pan Am. Everybody, whether you've been through that in life, at least you can empathize with it if you haven't. And I like this movie and this film franchise because of that. Because it doesn't fall into political ideology messaging that we have now a decade plus after this film came out. And I enjoy this film. The world also feels lived in. It's grounded in reality. The sets and the costumes also help out. There's also a touch of historical value in this film. Like, when you get to the reaping ceremony, it feels very similar. Like the person that wrote the books, and I honestly don't remember their name, so shoot me in the face, because I don't. But the person that wrote the books, I feel like, they took inspiration from past events in history, especially from World War II. Because when you get to the reaping ceremony, it feels very similar in terms of tone and setting and the costumes and what's happening. It feels very similar to German occupation of Poland. The whole gathering together and getting ready to execute people. It feels almost like a PG version of the Holocaust. Obviously, the movie's PG-13, but how it's presented, it feels like there was clearly inspiration from past horrors of history. And you can empathize and you can relate and you can be like, hey, this is kind of, I think I've, seen something like this before. And unfortunately, we have because of history. So, in case you've never seen The Hunger Games, The film is about what remains of North America called Panem with 12 districts. There used to be 13, but we'll get to the 13 district thingy later on in another video. Probably with, Mockingjay Part 1. When it actually comes into fruition and actually matters to the plot. But the capital, because of the rebellion, forces each district to select 2 tributes, a man and a woman, to fight to the death against other tributes in a 24-person free-for-all. And this is done in sake to remember the Civil War that occurred less than 74 years ago. I think it's also kind of interesting how the first book takes place during the 74th Hunger Games, and then the last book/movie takes place during the 76th Hunger Games. Another historical reference, if you guys have any knowledge of that. 1776 is the year that America declared independence from Britain. So another historical little Easter egg and nod, which I think is very interesting. So that's what the film is about. So there you go. In case you've never seen Hunger Games for whatever reason and you're wondering, hey, what's the movie about? There you go. You care about the characters living and dying in this movie. You actually have empathy. You get emotionally connected with the characters living and dying. And while the film is obviously PG-13 and it is a quote-unquote battle royale, it is serious and dark in nature, but there's also humor, there's also drama, love, and hope, and it balances things out, which makes this film very enjoyable to watch again and again and again. I like rewatching the first Hunger Games. If you don't watch Catching Fire, Mockingjay Part 1 and 2, perfectly fine. You can watch this movie, you can watch The Hunger Games from 2012 in isolation and never watch any of the other movies, and this film is still enjoyable. It is perfectly a good 2.5 hour movie without needing anything else. Now, obviously, if you watch Catching Fire or Mockingjay Part 1 or 2, then you kind of needed to watch the other films in order to understand what's happening. But in this film, it tells a very good, self-contained story, and I like it for that. Lastly, I want to talk about something that's kind of like a foreshadowing thing. There's an important scene, and the more I watch this movie, the more I enjoy this scene more and more. But there's an important scene that unfortunately foreshadows a tragic event that happens in Mockingjay Part 1. And if you know this scene, let me know in the comments down below. But there's a scene where Peeta and Katniss, they're talking before the game, the night before the game, because neither one of them can sleep. And they're talking. And Peeta says, I don't want them to change me into something that I'm not. I don't want to be another pawn or piece in their game. Unfortunately, if you've seen all 4 of them films or if you've read the books, you know for a fact that Peeta, in Mockingjay Part 1 especially, he ends up, between Catching Fire and Mockingjay Part 1, he ends up being captured and he is brainwashed. So he unfortunately does get changed, and he unfortunately does become a pawn in their game. He becomes a pawn in President Snow's game in order to defeat Katniss and the District 13 rebellion that is taking place in Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. And it's kind of an interesting foreshadowing thing, and it just adds another layer to you wanting to rewatch this movie and to rewatch the franchise and to reread the books, of course. So overall, I think The Hunger Games is a great movie. When it comes to flaws, I will say that I think the script could have been a little tighter. I think there's like 10-15 minutes that could have been shaved off. But overall, I enjoy the film for what it is. And if you guys haven't had a chance to check out The Hunger Games, I highly encourage you guys to do so. You'll enjoy it. So with that, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. I will see you guys all in the next video or stream. And may the odds be ever in your favor. Bye, guys.